Welcome into Titan Game Day morning here in downtown Jacksonville. Hope everybody is off to a great Sunday so far. Got a game to talk about here in the AFC South. The last time the Titans were in Jacksonville, obviously triggering for a lot of you and for this particular team, a post-season berth, easy for me to say, on the line and just a few plays away from securing that and a third consecutive AFC South title. Obviously, the Titans fell short, and ever since then, things have been going the Jags' way. But obviously, this is a great opportunity to correct that situation if you're Tennessee and try and get your season at 3-6 back on track. So you guys know how this works. We're going to do 3 keys to success here in Jacksonville. We will go through those things together. You only need to give me your biggest key to the game, and we will go through these things throughout the course of our morning. Before we get started, I need you guys to share the broadcast around on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, wherever you are spending your time with us. If you are on Twitter, please retweet the show, bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Facebook Live, you can share not a public, that's in the bottom left. And if you're on YouTube or on Twitch, just hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. We would be grateful for you doing so. Obviously, not just for the purposes of the Titan Game Day morning show, so you can see me with my bedhead, but afterwards, when I'm actually put together, we will do the primetime show from Jacksonville before I catch my flight back tonight and, talk about whatever the hell happened in this game. So let's go ahead and get this thing started. Welcome into Titan Game Day morning from Jacksonville, Florida. I'm your host, Buck Reising. If you're new to the show, and I'm proud as always to be presented to you by the great people at Two Rivers Ford, the Ashton Real Estate Group of Remax Advantage, and Zen Sports, the great partners around here who make this Titan Game Day morning show possible. So the biggest key to success today for the Titans, it's real simple. You guys give me your answer in the comment section, and we'll go through what I think the 3 biggest keys to success for this football team are. I don't think there's any place that we need to start other than scoring. This is a team that struggles to score famously, 17.1 points per game through their first 9 games. That's down from 2022's scoring total, which I didn't think was possible, 17.5 points per game. This year, they're not meeting that mark. A couple of the reasons why, and a lot of them have to do with what's been happening to the Titans on the road. They have not scored a touchdown on an opening possession this year. They have also only scored touchdowns in 3 of the Titans' 6 road games to this point on the season. It is a situation that absolutely has to change. We talked to Tim Kelly about this earlier in the week, the idea of, self-inflicted wounds and things of that nature. And what Mike Vrabel and this offensive coaching staff have to accomplish, it's more on the players to execute for obvious reasons, and not necessarily just on the quarterback. The offensive line is the root of all evil around here as of late, and at least in the last 2 seasons it has been. And that, of course, as we talk about things that you didn't think could go from bad to worse in the scoring output, the offensive line situation has gone from bad to worse. Now, there's a couple of things here that might help stop the bleeding somewhat, if not entirely, and we'll get to those here in just a second. Your keys to success are made possible by Two Rivers Ford, powered by Ford, driven by people, quality American-made Ford vehicles at Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. So the offensive line situation is huge, not just in terms of protection, but in terms of running the football, which we will get to here shortly. Dylan Radins worked all week at left tackle. He is expected to be the left tackle today, and he spoke about the pressure that is on the group as a whole as they head into this AFC South game.
Make it or break it. Like, we need to glue. We don't have any other option. Our backs are against the wall. So just having that mindset going forward and being able to just have the confidence going into the game and glue with the 5 guys that are out there during practice this week, and whoever gets thrown in there is going to be huge for us. And like I said, we feel like we have something to prove that we need to go out there and show it. And I think we're going to be able to do that. So.
All right, all the cliches. You got to glue together. You got backs against the wall. You got all of these things. The only thing I didn't hear was play better, coach better in that 23-second soundbite. But that is Dylan Radins. He struggled at left tackle, obviously, because he was asked to go from right guard to left tackle after about like 15 snaps. I think it was 17 total plays that Andre Dillard made it through the Bucs game before he left with a concussion. Obviously, he won't be there today. Andre Dillard, well, he'll actually, I don't know if Dillard traveled or not, but Andre Dillard won't be starting at left tackle. Dylan Radins will be the guy. Daniel Brunskill will be back in the lineup at right guard, which is, of course, where Dylan Radins played last week, or was supposed to play last week, because Brunskill missed that game with an ankle injury. He's expected to be back. That is critical for running the football as a unit. They need to be cohesive. As you heard Dylan Radins say, he didn't say they needed a gel, but they needed the glue, whatever they need to do to run the football. 2.2 yards per carry last week against the Bucs. You can't put that kind of pressure on Levis. He has to have some semblance of a run game, and this Titans group will need to do that. That's the second key to success. We talked to Mike Herndon about this offensive line group and the idea that not just in running the football or in the inability to run the football, that they could possibly derail the development of Will Levis. And while I don't think that's an overrated notion, Mike Herndon of paulkaharski.com certainly seemed to think so when he joined us on the radio show earlier this week. You'll hear from Mike right after I remind you that the Titan Game Day Morning Show is made possible by the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. Go to GaryAshton.com, get your dream address without the stress. The intel edge you need to succeed can be found at GaryAshton.com.
There's also plenty of evidence. Think about Joe Burrow's rookie season. I mean, the guy was pummeled to the point where he tore his ACL, right? And that's kind of your worst-case scenario. What did he do in year two? He went to the Super Bowl and was a defensive holding call away from possibly winning the Super Bowl for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Who still had a bad offensive line that year.
And still had a bad offensive line. He was sacked 102 times in his first two seasons with the Bengals. And that guy isn't shook. He is not scared. He is not broken as a quarterback. And their offensive line still isn't good, by the way. It's still a work in progress, as the Titans kind of exposed in Nashville earlier this season. So, and there's other examples. Justin Herbert had a terrible offensive line his rookie season. You look at Jared Goff, I think, is an interesting example because terrible protection as a rookie, struggled. McVay comes in. He immediately turns around, starts playing well. The protection starts to slide with the Rams, right, towards the end of his career. They jettison him out of there. He goes to Detroit. The protection turns out to be good in Detroit, and now he's putting up, big-time numbers again and has Detroit, right up there at the top of the NFC. So I think the idea that if the quarterback is going to be good, he's going to be good, right? And I think you're going to have some sort of mental fortitude and toughness if you're going to be an NFL franchise quarterback, because you're not always going to get perfect scenarios. I mean, Tom Brady was sacked 41 times in his first season as a starter. It's not always going to be perfect, and you have to learn how to manage that. And I think, honestly, this will be good for Will Levis to learn how to deal with the yuck of the pass protection that is currently afforded to him, and it may help him become a better player in the future if he can make it through it. But my point is that if he doesn't make it through it, he was never going to make it as a NFL quarterback, because you're not going to have perfect protection for 15 years of your career. It's just not going to happen. You're going to have to deal with it, and you're going to have to work through some adversity early in your career. I think all the good quarterbacks have.
So that's Mike Herndon on the radio show. You can check out that interview in the Buck Reising Show podcast, wherever it is that you get your podcast. So Levis surviving this offensive line group. Now, I'm taking it a bit. I don't want to say that I'm taking it more seriously than Mike seemed to be there. I do think that the offensive line group can absolutely derail this player's development, and I don't think that it's predetermined that he's going to be good, or that it's predetermined if he's going to be good, he's going to be good. If he's going to be bad, he's going to be bad. I don't think that's the case. I think there are several things that this team should and can do to further support that development and growth, and certainly this offensive line group is not one of them. But that's what he's got to work with. We understand the situation. Jags don't have necessarily the best pass rush in the world, but they do have a good run defense. And after struggling to run the ball the way that the Titans did in Tampa, they cannot have a repeat performance of that if they expect to win this game today. So, final key to success is, of course, Will Levis. After the Atlanta game, the debut, where he threw 4 touchdown passes, they have not scored a passing touchdown since then. It has been a slog. The Titans have been made one-dimensional, as Tampa did to them last year with the way that they took away the running game and forced the Titans to try and beat them in obvious passing situations, which, of course, this team is currently not equipped to do. So Levis managing the situation, Levis finding ways to make plays. Levis targeting DeAndre Hopkins. The targets in this game for DeAndre Hopkins, going back to the Bucs game, were pretty surprisingly low, few and far between. Now, Bucs have a good defense. Bucs have a solid defense, let's say, but they were missing their top corner in Carlton Davis. And while I understand that Carlton Davis did not have a good game against the Houston Texans the week prior in Week 9, to see Hopkins targeted as few times as he was in this game. He was targeted 9 times, but only caught 3 passes for 27 yards. Obviously, if your leading receiver is Tajay Spears, you're just checking it down the entire time. Or excuse me, leading receiver for the second straight week was Kyle Phillips, actually, 61 yards. The person with the most catches, the most receptions, was Tajay Spears, 4 for 42. Phillips had 3 for 61. Hopkins, 3 for 27. And then there's Chig, who was targeted 6 times, dropped a couple of passes, ended up with 3 for 27. They just need skill position players to step up. Somebody has to step up in this offense if it is going to be any kind of successful. We'll wrap this thing up with a Zen Sports Best Bet. You can download the Zen Sports app, plug in the promo code ATOZTN, and get in on all the action. Zen Sports is your favorite place to wager. They have the $1,000 no danger first wager for you when you plug in that promo code. Terms and conditions do apply. Gambling problem, call the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789. Today's Zen Sports Best Bet with the promo code ATOZTN, Derrick Henry rushing yards over 56.5 rushing yards. Now, he only had 23 against the Bucs. It wasn't more than 20. Let's see, just to double check. 24, 11 for 24 in Tampa last week. 2.2 yards per carry. It was really, really tough sledding for Derrick Henry. 56.5 against the Jags feels like a pretty safe bet, but I personally, I would not bet anything around or on the Tennessee Titans. And obviously I don't bet on NFL games for ethical purposes as a reporter, but this would scare me. This would scare me. It is favorable odds, -120, 56.5 rushing yards over for Derrick Henry. That is today's Zen Sports Best Bet. I'm headed over to the stadium right now. You can hear me on the Lead Company Countdown to Kickoff with Blaine Bishop, with Mickey Ryan, with Kayla Anderson. We're all 3 back in the studio in Nashville. I will be at it's no longer TIAA. I think it's Everbank Field now that the Jags play at. I think when last I was here it was TIAA. But either way, I'll be at the Jags Stadium. We'll do the Lead Company Countdown to Kickoff. You can hear it from 9 to 11 on 104.5 The Zone. And then, of course, 15 minutes before kickoff on Titans Radio, where Jim Wyatt and myself will be in the booth with Red Bryan. We'll go through the Titans trends before you hear this game on Titans Radio. Enjoy the football, and we will talk to you later tonight.